Hello, filmmakers. Welcome to this week's Black Magic Collective's Producers on Producing panel. I know it's so clever. It's like, what are you going to talk about? Producing? Maybe. I am here with my producing team. I've brought them to the hot seat so that you can ask them any and all questions about producing indie film, how they've been making it, how they've been surviving, and mostly we're going to talk about how do you wear multiple hats and produce. How do you get along as a team? How do you hire? How do you fire? All the nitty gritty is here. So ask your questions in the comment box, and we will go from there. I'm with Chris Edgar, who is my. Not only have we produced a ton of films together, he's written all the musicals. Well, almost all the musicals you've seen me direct. He writes music, so he's a composer, a singer, songwriter. He's an entertainment lawyer, and he produces for us. Summer Walters is a Producers Guild producer. She and I, as well as Chris, produced Playing with Beethoven last year, along with David. David's also a Producers Guild producer, and he has been in the post-sound world and the sound world forever. Summer's an actor. I mean, everybody here does all the things, and somehow we still love each other and get along, and it's great. So thank you guys for being here. We have a question. Pam asked, will you guys do the live event at Sigma like before? Sigma has changed hands, so we're still trying to get in there to do a fun live event. Yes, we want to have more mixers and live stuff now that we can, so definitely keep eyes open for that. And if anybody knows locations who will let us come in and put panels on and do mixers, email info@blackmagiccollective.com and we'll do that. All right, let us start off here with, producers do the hard things. For the most part, producing is a thankless job. You movies win awards and the directors and the actors get all the credit for that. What makes you produce? Why have you chosen to put on things? For me, it was a necessity. I could not just sit around and wait for other people to make things for me. I'm assuming that's the same for you guys. I know Summer, the first thing we did together was a short that you starred in. David, you've been producing for a while. Why are you producing? What do you love about it?
For me, I think it's putting teams together. I think I love, since probably my college days, even before then, my high school days, I loved listening to creatives talk about the creative process. And it gets me creatively inspired to hear other artists talk about their craft. And then to see them, execute their craft, whether it's, a musician, an actor, a director of photography, a stills photographer, or any other visual artist, just seeing them create something gets me inspired, gets me excited about things. So to be able to put these people together to create a similar goal really is something that I really enjoy.
And one thing about David, y'all, is as a producer, he really backs his director. Like when I'm directing something, he wants to make sure I have what I need. He's never been the kind of guy who's like, we can't do that. He's like, okay, let's figure it out. And if we can't get that thing, we'll figure out a solution, which is so nice to work with. Summer, as an actor, I know that's really, you started producing to be in stuff, but you've been producing beyond stuff you're in now. Why do you keep producing? It's a thankless, ugly, hard job. You're muted, love.
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Well, the thing is, as you said, I started because I needed to be in things and it just wasn't working out. But also, I found that being on the other side of the table helps me as an actor, because I can see what the room is like when you come into audition. That's great. And then on the other side of the table, I get to see how it's all put together. And me being the type of person who likes to make things work, I'm a puzzle maker. It gets me excited to see what I can do to get the puzzle working faster. And I'm learning. I'm like a sponge. I'm learning, and I'm looking at people like David and all that he does and has done, and it makes me want to learn more. And you, Jen, are just, oh my God. If anybody wants to learn along the way and have a hard worker, Jen is it. And Chris is just the sweetest personality ever to work with. It's like, oh my God, quiet strength is how I think of him.
Yeah, Chris is one of the best things about Chris is he's like the calm to my crazy, I think. I'm just like, "Rah, let's do it all." And Chris is like, okay, we thought of this and this and this. Chris, because you're a composer, now director, writer, like I think that you have no choice but to produce, because there's just like it's hard to get hired in the beginning, I think, as to do all those things. If someone's like, oh, I'm going to compose it. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah, I'm going to direct it. Someone's like, you're crazy. You can't do all those things. Yeah. So I think you had to produce.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and particularly with the projects that I've been doing recently, like, well, I mean, I was the composer and director and writer for my most recent project. And all the music was such a central part of the film that I needed to be involved in all aspects of it, and also that serves my control freakishness as well. So it it works out very well for me.
Quick, Dark Entertainment, thank you. Is there?
I don't hear any distortion anymore. I was hearing. I thought maybe somebody's phone was on, maybe it was too close to the computer. I turned my phone off. I don't. Maybe we all could do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to play with that. Is this distortion there still, Dark Entertainment? Let me know. Might have to change out my mic, maybe. We don't usually have 4 people. We usually do 2, so I'm thinking maybe that might be the issue happening.
Yeah, I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, he said it's gone. Great, thank you. I want to remind everybody in the audience.
I would hate to have to turn off my fan.
Also, like, indie film, this is it. We troubleshoot, you figure it out. Again, those of you who are just tuning in, make sure you put in your questions in the comment box, because we want to answer your questions. That's why we're here. We have 20 minutes left. And if there's things about your projects that you have questions about, shoot them over, because between the 4 of us, we've pretty much done every kind of project there is, from 0 budgets to large budgets to 1-person crews to large crews. Let's talk about wearing multiple hats. So how do you, when you're working off of, we're working on films, right, together, everybody has all these different roles. So, Summer might be in a scene, but she's also producing a film. Dave, for Playing with Beethoven, Dave did all the sound, which was recorded live music, and he's producing the film. Chris is music directing all the musical numbers with the people for Playing with Beethoven, but he can't direct it. He has to step back, even if he doesn't like what's happening. So like what, because I'm the director for that one. How do you guys feel like you compartmentalize and not step on the toes of the director and make sure the director has what they need, while also making sure the film has what it needs?
Well, you don't really compartmentalize, because everything goes hand in hand with the next thing. So it's just, how do you fill in those gaps so that it does run smoothly? And like on the last shoot, I was like the kid wrangler, which is always fun for me because I'm always the biggest kid. But it's just knowing what everyone else's role is and seeing how you can fit in to fill in the gaps. That's really what it is when you have so few people trying to fill so many parts of the production. It's just everyone working hand in hand.
The nice thing about Playing with Beethoven, for instance, was that we did have several producers there on the ground during filming days. So for me, prioritizing those different things in my brain, I could let the producing things kind of sink to the bottom a little bit more and focus on production, sound mixing, and making that my priority, knowing that I had other producers on the ground there that were worrying about, has lunch been taken care of? Lunch orders are taken care of. Is Crafty up to date? Is everything good there? Are all of our actors on set? Are all of our extras on set? Is everyone safe? Is Jenn taken care of? And then focusing on the task at hand first, and then allowing those other things. If I notice something, oh, Jenn looks like she's a little distressed here. Do I need to help support her a little bit more, knowing that production sound's taken care of for this next setup? Or is she good? Or do I need to focus on cast because they're kind of freaking out or they don't know what's happening? So it's a little bit of a balance when you're wearing multiple hats and knowing which one should take priority for that moment. And then once you're out of that moment, taking a step back and looking at your larger hats that you should be wearing and seeing, where you can help support your fellow producers, especially in a producer role, if you're a producer wearing other hats.
And no job is too small. You can do everything from sweeping that spill up over there to whatever. It's getting in and getting it done. And we're all trying to do the same project. So we all should work as hard on that project. And that's what makes our team so great, is that we understand that.
Just don't touch the camera.
Don't touch the camera.
Exactly.
Well, and I feel like too, especially in indie film, you have to have producers who are willing to do whatever it takes, because there's always going to be a little hole to fill. It's different than a studio film where you have 200 people on the set, and in theory, everybody has a job already taken care of. And like, for instance, and Chris has to do all the paperwork because he's the entertainment lawyer. He does all the paperwork for a film. Meanwhile, he's also rehearsing with actors who need to rehearse their music. Like, we just have to do whatever we have to do. We have a question from Dark Entertainment. How do you feel about actors who don't or won't promote the film? Oh, well, we went through that with two of our films for our last feature. It's such a bizarre thing to me when actors aren't vocal. Like, it's your piece, you shine in it. Even if for some reason, let's say you don't like the film as a whole, but you as the actor shine in the movie, like, why you're not promoting yourself, I don't even understand that. I don't. There's not much you can do about it, because even in the contracts we have that they have to promote, and it doesn't matter. I don't know if you guys have had luck getting actors going from actors who weren't promoting and encouraging them and getting them to get on the promotion train.
Yeah, so it's difficult because as an actor, most of them, once they're done with the actual performance of the acting and maybe some pickup days or ADR work, that's it for them. They're done. They're auditioning for new projects. They're looking at the next gig that's coming up, or maybe trying to just sustain themselves with a second job or third job. So the last thing on their mind is doing these free promotions for a project. Even at studio level, it's tough to get actors out there because they are usually working on the next big project and preparing for that thing. So I don't mind, like, me personally, I don't mind an actor that won't promote the film on an indie level. Hopefully, as a producer, you've thought about how to promote your film already at the very start of the production and pre-production and development. You know who your audience is going to be, who you're going to try and get this out to on social media. And that should involve actors, and hopefully you're able to talk to them and convince them to be involved in some sort of promotion or publicity for the film. But you shouldn't only bank on your actors being a part of that process.
And I think there are ways that you can keep them excited about the film after you've shot it. Like, whenever you have a clip, you can send them that, even if it's privately, or send them a private link. Everybody after the last film, we were all involved with in some capacity, I think, except for Summer, although I would have loved to have you with the Electro Rocker. Everybody was asking me for a private link. Initially, I was like, well, I mean, it's under consideration by festivals now. Do I really want to send it out? But then I sent it out, and it was so amazing. Everybody was so excited. With their
I'm the opposite of that. I refuse to send private links to anybody, because I'm like, no, you need to show up at the festival, do your red carpet interview, watch the movie, then I'll get you the link, then I'll get you for real material. But I'm also very big on, like, your cast and crew needs to help promote the movie. They need to be a part. In indie film especially, we don't have marketing dollars. They have to be there to promote the movie. Yeah. Chris he's less jaded because he's just started directing, so he's still excited. But I'm more jaded than he is. But I'm glad that you had that.
Actors later, yeah.
And in theory, they see the movie and they're still excited to come to the red carpet. I mean, that's your hope, I guess.
Yeah, I think if you are an indie producer and you have a project that you're trying to push out that it's completed and you're trying to push out, whether it's, you know, for a sales market or whatever, and you need to, or it's coming up on a release, you know, you're releasing on Tubi or something like that, and you need to push it to try and get the maximum eyeballs. Make it as easy as possible for your cast and your crew to share it and promote it. So, you know, come up with your social media stills and have a common place where everyone can go and grab them, and then just send out your emails to your cast, to your crew, and just say, hey, I've uploaded this image. Could you please share this on, you know, whatever day you're releasing, and just make it as easy as possible for them. Or if they have their own publicist that's handling that, or marketing team that's handling their stuff for them, send it to them and just make sure, hey, you mind posting this? The last project you were in is releasing on this day, and, you know, feel free to share.
I want to say that the last thing I'll say on this topic, we'll move on, is that especially in indie film, where it can take you a year, 3 years to get through post, it's really important that you're constantly giving your actors updates, because they're frustrated. They're like, where's my real footage? Especially if they worked for free on a short film, you need to be like, hey, just letting you guys know we're in post. I'll keep you updated. Oh, we just hit. We're doing sound mixing. Just want to keep you guys updated. Like, okay, we were submitting to festivals. It really does help keep them engaged. Our next thing, and probably our last thing we'll get to talk about in our last 10 minutes here, is what everybody always comes to producing panels about. Please talk about producers that seek financing. Obviously, that is almost, people always think of producing as like the people who get the money. And I don't think that people realize that, like, people, not only the producers, they're before the money, they're helping develop the script. You know, they're helping get the money. They're helping make sure the film gets done. Then afterwards, they're making sure it gets through post. Then they're working with distribution. Like, producer's job is never, ever done. But when it comes to financing, I do feel like that's always the hardest thing, especially in indie film. And I would really, really encourage all of you to go back and watch the last event with Scott DuPont. He really gets into financing and 5 shifts you need to make to raise money. It's really great. As far as what we're talking about, I mean, right now we can even talk about, we're crowdfunding. Right now, our team is crowdfunding because we want to make an epic kids space adventure movie. And it's not something that, you know, Netflix isn't, you know, we're not pitching to Netflix. We're not doing any of that stuff. You know, the strike is on. So we're doing this on our own, and we're crowdfunding. We're calling people we know for money. It's like, it's never ending. The financing is never ending. That's all we do all the time. Is like, okay, now it's the next project. How do we get money? For our last project, we had our writer had a friend who believed in her and put in the first $35,000. And then, you know, we have our executive producer, which I won't name names because I don't want to have people going after her for money. But like, she came in and dropped more once we saw money's in. There's something about the first funds that, like, once you hit that first funds, it's a little easier to start going and asking for money. I guess, you know, just you guys in general, what are your thoughts on fundraising? Who do you go talk to first? And let's talk about like sort of an indie film budget. We're talking like, you know, a $500,000 budget. What is your plan of attack for that?
For me, I think knowing what your project, where your project is going to go and live, I think that's the important starting point. Because if you're doing indie film and you're going to try and go the festival route, then I think you're more likely to look for your private equity investors, you know, the people that, you know, the rich dentists and chiropractors that you might reach out to, just to start getting that equity in there, and then figuring out the rest of that money puzzle, whether it's in-state tax incentives or in-state tax rebates, to help boost that budget up. That kind of, you know, it's, Summer mentioned it before, producing is a puzzle. It's, you know, figuring out what that puzzle piece is. And it's the same with money. It's where are you going to get your money through the resources that you know? And if you don't have those resources, how can you build your team out so that you can reach those little resources? For me, if I were looking at a $500,000 film, I would probably, for me, go to a co-producer that already has a distribution deal with someone. So a smaller B company, you know, B-size level production company that has a relationship with Amazon Prime or Hulu or, you know, one of these distributors who is going to have a way to make your money back through the distribution of the film, whether it's theatrically, straight to a SVOD platform or something like that. They have a model to get that going, and the co-producing company has a relationship with them. So when they complete a project, they can take it to them and it can find a home. So 500,000.
Every person who raises money too, who will tell you that everything starts with the script. Although investors don't ever really read the script, so it's kind of maybe isn't as important, but to the business plan. Like you have to have a killer solid business plan that cannot say, we're going to make money by going to Sundance and getting, a distribution deal, because it's not realistic. So you need to have a killer distribution plan. I mean, a business plan. And I actually always recommend that you get an entertainment lawyer involved in creating that plan so that it's actually solid. And they do this all the time. So they know what needs to be in there. They'll have ideas for the type of film that you're making and how to finance that. Financing is such a big topic that it literally is its own panel in itself. We have so many questions popping in, so let's try to speed through these guys. So whoever has an answer, go for it. Alex first. As producers, what are you looking for from directors, writers, and new creative partners?
A clarity of voice for me. Someone who knows, what, if it's a script, knows what they're trying to say with the script. If it's a director, they have a very specific point of view for me that I know meshes with my own creative ideas. So those are kind of the two first things that I look for.
Knowing everybody on this panel, I would say one of their things is that you're somebody they just want to be around in general. So like if they like you and they want to know you and be friends with you and work, that they're going to want to work with you. And if you're in any way, basically an asshole, I mean, I have my moments, but but they loved me first. Summer and Chris, do you have anything to add to that quickly?
Yeah, like you said, it's a lot of it has to do with trusting your gut and doing that initial Zoom call, so that you wouldn't necessarily, or I wouldn't necessarily be hiring based on a resume so much as on the interpersonal interaction. So I think that's 100% right.
Chris actually hired me the first time we met. He never met me. I think you had saw the musical number I directed for the live stage show, but then like somebody he trusted recommended that he talk to me. So that's so important. I always tell everybody, like, you don't know who knows who. Just be nice to everybody. Just be nice, and do
That's
good
what
work.
happened with me. That's what happened with me. Someone told me about you. You were shooting someone's reel, and I came in and I was in it, and we were in a little tiny kitchen. It was just so easy to work with you because you knew what you wanted from me. You knew what you wanted for your production. You knew how much time you needed to do it. We got it done. I'm like, oh, see, I can work with her. We've been working together for 10 years. And everybody says, well, you need to try a different director. I trust you. Trust is tantamount for me in everything that I do. And when you're producing, it's the same. You can give you the money, and you were doing line producing on the couple things I've worked with you on. A line producer is everything. You don't have a line producer you can trust. You don't have money. You don't have a good production. You've wasted your time and money. And with you, Jen,
and I've heard scary stories about people who they basically have used all their money in development. Like, that's why I almost line produce everything I do.
Long after a production is done, you says, well, I have this much money left for this, and we can do this for this movie. I'm like, so she's got it all planned out, and it's over, and you figure, okay, that's it. That's the end of it. No, I trust you to the nth degree, Jen. And plus your vision, when you come to shoot something, you know what you want. And as the producer, it's all I can do to make sure that you get that. I want to make sure that as the executive producer or producer, that your vision is realized. And like the producer's cut is the last thing that goes. No, usually that's how a film is ruined, because the producer comes in there, well, this is what I want. Nope. It's your vision. And
I've actually been on those productions where the producers made the set so tense that like it hurts everything. And like I've even become more of like an asshole, really is the best word, because I've got them on me and I'm just like, I just gotta fucking get this done. And like that's no way to be. So that's why I love you guys. I love you guys. We have another question from Aaron. How do you make relationships with festival directors without attending them? I'm not sure, Aaron, do you mean festival directors like people who run festivals? And if that is the case, in my experience, if you can't attend a festival, you definitely want to be sending thank you notes and emails for them picking you and being part of that. You can keep them up to date if they have, with whatever else you have going on afterwards. And you can always shoot. This is for all networking, you guys, which is another great video you should watch before the Scott DuPont was one with H. Schuster from Hustle Up, all about networking. And there's some really great tips in there that break down how you can do this via online and via emails. But basically, it's just look at them like a friend. Like, how would you stay connected to a friend and do the same thing with respect? Aaron, also, this is probably for Dave, a brief one for you, Dave. How has your experience in American film market been?
I'll keep it short since we only have a couple of minutes, but AFI can be a really great experience. If you go in with a plan, make sure you have a plan if you are going to attend AFI. If you have a project, make sure you know how to pitch it, work on your pitch, set up your meetings ahead of time, reach out. They usually publish a list of what vendors and what production companies are going to be there. Go through that list, start hitting people up early to set up your meetings. If you're looking for distribution or trying to get a project made, work on your pitches, work on your visuals, get that down, get it succinct and specific so that they know what they are looking to buy or develop. And I've had great experiences at the film market and have had terrible experiences there where no one's done anything for us, or we've found a salesperson and they were horrible. So, make sure you plan ahead, like anything in our business, plan ahead, make sure you know what you want to get out of the film market, whether it's AFM or Berlin or Cannes or, whatever it is, go in with a plan.
Also, because our team has had not great experiences with sales reps, they've gotten, our last feature got a theatrical deal, but we've not had a great deal. And I think we put too much trust in a sales rep. So I would say go to anybody who they've worked with before and ask, what was your experience like? Did you actually get the money they promised? All that stuff is so important. That goes for AFM or any kind of market whatsoever. So we have to wrap up right now. I would love everybody to wrap up sort of on, let me point out something really quick. Those of you watching, I'm a director first. I'm a producer by necessity, a director by passion. The people around me are passionate, positive, supportive people. And the reason that this group here tends to work together a lot is because everybody has their own thing. So when you're putting your team together, and in indie film, you need more than one producer. You need a whole team to get things done in indie film. We work together well because everybody has different strengths. So whereas Chris's big strength as far as a producer goes is doing the legality stuff because he is an entertainment lawyer. And then Summer's strength is part cheerleader. She's always positive, like we can do this. And then David got a lot of his strength is just sort of a grounded, like, here's what we've done. Here's what's worked in the past. Let's do that. Everybody has sort of a specific personality and strength about them. But let's wrap up with, when it comes to producing, what's one thing that you would have done different from the past? And what's one thing you're looking forward to about the project we're about to do? And whoever feels they can go first can go first. And if nobody has anything yet, I'll jump in and think of something.
Well, for me, I don't think I've changed anything that I've done in the past because those have been lessons for me. And I don't like to say, well, I would change this and this because, well, like I said, I was learning. But in the future, what I've always done is have people around me who do know, who can say, well, this is probably the better way to go, and listen to people who know.
Yeah. Listen to those who are experienced and who have done it well and done it right, not who are just all talk, for sure. Right. The one thing that came to me just now on what I would do different, and it's one thing we kind of talked about, we would talk about in this seminar, is hiring and firing. I'm very big on trusting your gut. And I've had times in the past where my gut has said, fire this person right now, but because of whatever loyalty or whatever stupid thing in my head, I didn't. And my gut was always right. I should have fired that person. And firing doesn't have to be a nasty thing. It can literally be a like, we love you. It's just not the right project. This isn't the right thing. And as a producer, you have to have your director's back. If the director is having an issue with somebody and nobody else has an issue with the director, the producer, like I remember on one of my films, an AD was like, you can't go talk to the background. And I was like, excuse me? My producer overheard it without me even having to tell her about the situation. That person was fired. And they did it with kindness. And then I was able to hire my own AD at that point. But hiring, like when it comes to things I would do different in the past, it would be listening to my gut every single time, no matter how small the feeling was. And what I'm most excited about for our next project, The Outcasts, is that we are all going to get to not only get to play in space and, you know, be with all these kids and do this fun thing, is that we're going to make a movie that's like something that families and especially Gen Xers like us, who we grew up with like the 80s, you know, the 80s feel good films. We get to make this. We get to make the films the kind of film that we loved growing up. And I'm really excited for that. Chris and Dave, you have any last minute changes and or excitements?
Yeah, you know, for me, I think I wish I knew I wanted to be a producer earlier. I didn't like somebody had mentioned if I, you know, at some point, I think it was at Sony, a colleague mentioned, you know, are you in the Producers Guild? And I was like, why would I'm not a producer. Why would I be in the Producers Guild? Well, the Producers Guild covers, you know, post coordinators, post-production managers. And, you know, I'm in that column. My career just kind of launched me into that column of things that people that are covered in the Producers Guild. So I wish I knew, you know, that I was actually eligible to be a producer earlier, so that I could have had more experience, gotten more experience earlier. But looking forward,
I want to say on that note, for those watching, go look at the Producers Guild, look at the Emmy Academy stuff. Like, you may be eligible and don't realize you're eligible. I didn't realize I was eligible for Producers Guild either. And I was like, David told me I needed to look at it, and I'm sure I was. So I'm now Producers Guild. So be aware of that.
Well, you bullied me into it. So
I was like, if I'm joining, you're joining, Summer. What are you looking forward to, Dave?
Kind of the same. You know, I haven't had a chance to produce something that brings me back to my childhood, like the late 70s, early 80s. So this next project, The Outcast, that all of us are working on, it's going to be fun for me. I have fun no matter what I'm producing, because I wouldn't be producing it if I didn't think it was going to be a fun process. But this one, I think, it's a little bit closer to my heart, and it's definitely going to be fun. You know, from a producing standpoint, trying to figure out how to get it made, but then also from a story standpoint, it's a darling little project. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yay. Chris, is there anything you would have done different as a producer?
I would tell my earlier self, don't be afraid to insist on your vision. The people who are working with you on an indie film are probably not in it for the money. They're in it because they have some kind of dedication to you, rightly or wrongly. People who helped me shoot my last film, The Electro Rocker, we were outside in gale force winds. I mean, in these massive rains that were happening back in February, and people were mainly focused on trying to get the shot. And I figured, people are going to be, they're not going to want to deal with this at all. I can't keep pushing them to do this. But in fact, the crew was insisting that we keep doing it. So you're working with people who are likely passionate, and make use of that just in the way that they want to be made use of themselves.
Love it. What are you looking forward to most about our next project?
Yeah. Well, I really do want to do the music for it, like we were talking about.
That's so funny. Chris has been all about the music for this film. It's so funny.
I thought for sure you're going to say you were looking forward to the legal paperwork, Chris.
You would think that I enjoyed that. I guess maybe I'm kind of a masochist that way. I mean, it's really the team. I mean, like Jen was talking about, it's really these people who I have the privilege to work together with again. Who I worked with on the feature that we were talking about before, Playing with Beethoven, and we get to do that again. That's worth the price of admission for me.
I love it. Thank you all for joining us live and for asking questions. All of our social media handles are here. You could always reach out with any questions on the socials, and we would love to answer them and keep this conversation going. Also, in the Black Magic Collective or the Working Director Facebook groups, both of those, you can bring conversations in there, and we can keep that going. And thank you to everybody who has said they've wanted to help us, theoutcastsfilm.com. We are just taking off, and we appreciate contributions and follows and all the love and shares. So thank you all very much.